The U.S. housing market just hit its lowest number of home sales since 1995. Fewer homes are selling right now than at any point in 30 years. And in the exact same breath, home prices are sitting at all-time highs. Both, at the same time. That should be impossible. When fewer people buy something, the price drops. You learned that in middle school. Every market on earth follows that rule, except this one. Right now. And the reason why is something almost nobody in real estate, banking, or financial media wants to explain clearly, because once you understand it, you stop making decisions that benefit them and start making decisions that benefit you. I'm Cole. By the end of this video, you'll understand every single domino that created this mess, with the real numbers. So whatever move you make next, you're making it with your eyes wide open. Here's exactly where we're standing. The national median home price right now is $418,000. In 2019, just 6 years ago, it was $272,000. That's a 46% increase, not in some luxury coastal city. That's the national median, the dead middle of the entire country. Now stack mortgage rates on top. Today you're looking at around 6.5% on a 30-year fixed. In January 2021, that same loan was 2.65%, the lowest recorded since 1971. Here's what that gap means in your actual wallet. Same house, $400,000, 20% down. You're borrowing $320,000. At 2.65%, your monthly payment is $1,293. At today's 6.5%, that same loan is $2,023 a month. That's $730 more. Every month, forever. For the same house, same street, same everything. And the house itself costs $146,000 more than it did 6 years ago. So you're paying more for the loan and more for the house simultaneously. How did we get here? 5 dominoes falling in order. March 2020. The pandemic hits. The Fed cuts rates to basically zero and pumps $120 billion every month into the financial system. Mortgage rates touch 2.65%, a 50-year low. Buyers who had been sitting on the fence suddenly realize they can afford dramatically more house for the same payment. Demand explodes. That's the first domino. Here's the second. COVID rewired what Americans needed from their homes overnight. Your apartment became your office, gym, school, and restaurant all at once. Remote work jumped from under 6% to over 18% of the workforce almost instantly. Millions of people left Manhattan, San Francisco, Chicago, and LA, and flooded into Austin, Phoenix, Nashville, Tampa, and Boise. Markets with tight inventory that suddenly had a stampede of buyers carrying pandemic savings and pre-approvals. National home prices jumped 37% between March 2020 and March 2022. 2 years, not a decade. Austin climbed 61%. Phoenix 59%, Boise 53%. At the peak, nearly 6,000 homes in a single month sold for $100,000 or more above asking price. By mid-2022, inflation hit 9.1%, a 40-year high. The Fed responded with the most aggressive rate hiking cycle in 4 decades, 11 hikes in 16 months. Mortgage rates went from 3.22% in January 2022 to 7.79% by October 2023. The highest since the year 2000. At 7.79%, that $320,000 mortgage costs $2,320 a month versus $1,293 at the pandemic low. That's $363,000 more across the full loan term. For the exact same house, people were overbidding on 18 months earlier. To comfortably buy the median home today, you need household income of around $106,000 a year. The actual U.S. median household income is $83,700. There's a $22,000 gap baked into the math before you even open a listing. Home sales collapsed from 6.12 million in 2021 to just over 4 million in 2025. We are selling fewer homes today in a country with 100 million more people than 1995 than we sold in 1995, and prices still didn't fall. That created something the modern housing market had never quite seen before, a total freeze. Here's the mechanism that most people completely miss, and it's the one that explains everything. Right now, 51% of all outstanding U.S. mortgages carry a rate below 4%. Around 20% are below 3%. If you locked in 2.75% in 2021, you are holding a financial instrument that literally cannot be recreated. If you sell your house and buy another one today, you're not just relocating, you're voluntarily surrendering the cheapest money you will likely ever see in your lifetime and replacing it with a loan that costs more than double. On a $400,000 mortgage, that swap costs $730 more every single month permanently. Federal Reserve researchers put the average financial penalty of making that trade at over $65,000. So rational homeowners stay put, even when the house is too small, even when everything in their life says it's time to move. A spreadsheet is physically keeping them there. The Atlanta Fed found this cuts the probability that any homeowner lists their home by 21 to 23%. FHFA researchers estimated it has wiped out 1.7 million transactions that would otherwise have happened. Active inventory is still 17% below 2019 levels. Months of supply sits between 3.3 and 3.8. A balanced market needs 6. Frozen. Not crashing. Not recovering. Just stuck. Let me give you a real person so this stops being abstract. Sarah is 32. Healthcare administration. Earns $74,000 a year above the national median. 0 credit card debt. 760 credit score. $31,000 saved after 3 years of real sacrifice. By every standard, Sarah is exactly who homeownership was designed for. The median home in her city is $385,000. With 10% down, her total monthly housing cost hits $3,010. Sarah takes home $4,650 a month. Housing would eat 65% of it. She cannot afford it. Not because she failed, because the income required to buy that house is $110,000 and she earns $74,000. That gap is not a personal failure. It is baked mathematically into the market, and there are millions of Sarahs. First-time buyers make up just 21% of all purchases, a 44-year record low against a historical average of 40%. The median age of a first-time buyer has climbed to 40 years old. In the early 90s, it was 28. Meanwhile, baby boomers now account for 42% of all buyers. Half of older boomers are purchasing entirely in cash. They sold a house worth $700,000 that they bought for $200,000 in 1998, pocketed the equity, and walked in with no mortgage at all. The 32-year-old with a pre-approval letter and $31,000 saved is competing against someone who does not need a loan. The shortage didn't start in 2020. It was built over 15 years of underbuilding after the 2008 financial crisis. The U.S. is currently short between 3.5 and 4.5 million housing units. The starter home, under 1,400 square feet, went from over 400,000 units built annually in the 1970s down to just 65,000 in 2020, an 80% decline. Now tariffs are adding an estimated $10,000 to $17,000 to the cost of every new home on top of all of that. This supply deficit took a decade to create. It will take at least a decade to meaningfully solve. And no, this is not 2008. In 2006 and 2007, subprime mortgages were 18 to 21% of all originations. Today, subprime lending is around 3.6 to 4.2%. The median credit score at origination is 758, 50 points higher than in 2006. American homeowners are collectively sitting on $35.8 trillion in home equity. Foreclosures in 2024 totaled 174,000. In 2008, they hit 2.3 million. In 2008, the market broke because bad loans collapsed. Today the loans are solid. You just still cannot afford anything. Everyone is waiting for mortgage rates to drop. Most forecasts have rates ending this year between 5.7 and 6.1%. But here's the part almost nobody is talking about. A fast, dramatic rate drop might not fix affordability. It could temporarily make it worse. Millions of buyers are sitting on the sidelines right now. The moment rates hit 5%, that wave of pent-up demand floods back into the market overnight. But the housing supply doesn't recover overnight. The 3.5 million unit shortage took a decade to create. So what happens when massive buyer demand slams into insufficient supply? Prices spike. A Bankrate survey found 37% of current homeowners would only consider selling if rates dropped below 5%. The most honest forecast is the least exciting one. Prices grind mostly sideways over several years, while incomes slowly catch up. No dramatic crash, no dramatic relief, just time, adjustment, and a lot of difficult personal decisions in the middle. So what do you actually do with all of this? Keep total housing costs below 28 to 30% of your gross income. Only buy if you're planning to stay at least 7 years. If the numbers don't clear those thresholds, the market story doesn't change the math. Renting and investing the difference is a completely legitimate strategy that nobody with a financial incentive will recommend to you, because nobody earns a commission when you put money into an index fund. But in a high-rate, high-price environment, that approach can genuinely compete with buying an overpriced house. If you are buying, look seriously at new construction. Builders are offering rate buydowns to 4.5 or 5% right now that are real. Just make sure the discount isn't hiding an inflated base price. Run every number yourself. Every party involved has a reason to tell you now is a great time to buy. Not everyone is wrong, but not everyone is looking at your specific numbers either. Run your own math. Make your decision from there. If this helped you actually understand what's happening, drop a like and subscribe for more breakdowns that skip the noise and go straight to what actually matters for your money.